Welcome, everybody, to Real Records,
where we are all things movie,
all things TV,
all things nerd.
Today on Real Records, we will be looking at.
Two.
I have the BSI on. There we go.
A part 2 today, ladies and gentlemen.
A part 2 of our multiverse. We will be looking at the multiverse in a way that looks at both a recent movie and an upcoming movie,
which has technically been trying to stoop in more and more with its own multiverse, but almost got its butt handed to it.
Yep, by a movie that came out a month before it. We will be looking at both Everything Everywhere All at Once
and
tomorrow's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Exactly.
I always get that messed up every single time. My brain instantly thinks Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. No.
Just Doctor Strange in? I thought it was just Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Weird.
Yeah.
I guess it sounds too Harry Potter-y if you say and.
And the Yeah.
Sorcerer, not wizard.
Me doing my movie reviews on YouTube. Every single time I've had to, every single time I've done a Harry Potter review, I've had to type it, and every single time I've noticed it's Harry Potter and the blank of blank.
Exactly.
Every single time, and you bring up that logic, I'm thinking, yeah, that would be repetitive.
You just keep Potter mooring.
Potter.
More Potter.
More Potter. So with that said, we will first be looking at, let's get the anticipation out of the way for Doctor Strange, and then we will be doing a mini review of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It deserves this episode, especially
exactly.
At least a half of this.
And then we will be deciding which do we think will be the best multiverse movie of 2022.
And which one will rank higher in terms of movies this year?
Yeah, because Everything Everywhere All at Once has been getting some great reviews. The Doctor Strange reviews have been good, but nothing fantastic. But that's in keeping in line with Doctor Strange, because the first one doesn't have the best reviews, it doesn't have bad reviews, but it doesn't have great reviews. I loved the first Doctor Strange.
I enjoyed it. I was I really wanted to see how crazy it could go.
I still remember I went to see that with my dad in the theaters, and we had no idea what it was supposed to be about, since we had no idea who Doctor Strange was. We just went to see it because it was a Marvel movie. And I absolutely loved it. He liked it, which means it was great, because most movies he doesn't like. I mean, he doesn't like the Batman.
I thought you were a stinge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess you could say that's where I got it from. But ever since I saw Doctor Strange, the first one, I've just kept rewatching it, because every single time I'm amazed. And it's I think it's a number 3. My third favorite MCU movie, right behind Infinity War and Winter Soldier, there is Doctor Strange for me.
Wow. It sets that big a precedent for you?
Yes. I think that is one of the best. I think that's one of the best movies. I'm going to say that. I think that's honestly one of my favorite movies of the 2010s.
Wow.
If we were to rank top 30 or something, it would be definitely in the top 30.
I could see that. For me, Doctor Strange fits on this trek of building on complicated ideas, especially for movies. Having recently done Inception with only 5 people, 5 days, and a max of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Having to pick and choose, especially trying to explain to my family, I think my mom didn't see it, or she saw it and barely remembers anything or couldn't wrap her head around it.
Oh, my parents have not seen it, and I loved it the first time I saw it, and I kept telling them and I kept recommending it to them. And then I said the director was Christopher Nolan, and they said, out. They know the reputation.
For Inception, just to start, it's not really a multiverse movie, but it's kind of the first step.
It's a visually mind-bending movie.
Yes. And also, I include it in the reality-bending stages
because it literally
of movies.
Reality.
I'm trying to think. The Invisible Man is probably the first movie that did this level of weird mind-bending, besides the train coming at the audience clip, that early film. We're
talking about 1930s Invisible Man, not the one that came out in early 2020.
Technically, that's a reboot.
Yeah.
Because it's a redo of a classic movie. But the concept of confusing movies that aren't just dialogue and story based when they are visual and world bending, reality bending.
That's honestly one of the reasons why I absolutely love Christopher Nolan as a director, because even though most of his characters aren't the best to grasp onto, it's the visuals that really speak, and visually, which, as we both know, film is a visual medium, he's mastered it.
Ironic because the Nolan Batman trilogy was the most grounded thing he could make out of a character that's so above human for a human.
Exactly. And before that was like Memento, which sort of like a bit before it, because there were other movies before the Dark Knight trilogy that he made. Before that was Memento, which sort of like mixed the mind-bendingness of Inception with the characterization of the Dark Knight trilogy.
When I was trying to explain to my parents why I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once so much and was so blown away by it, pretty much not just because it's like the most unique thing I've seen in a while that actually like had my eyes widening and be like excited at the end of my seat. When I'm talking about the stages of, I'm saying Inception started a concept. You know, reality is crazy. Things are not what they seem. Yeah. A city folds in on itself.
Exactly.
That's pretty crazy. Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange was like, okay,
they did that times a million.
They did. Let's do that thing you did with that mirror city. Let's make a fractal where it keeps happening on repeat, so you see multitudes of it because we have the technology to create this effect. To the point where we can actually go way beyond it,
like the Mirrorverse fight in Doctor Strange. They basically just, the director or the visual or the people who made the visuals or whoever did that basically just said, okay, I see how Inception folded a city. Let's fold that city, and then fold it again, and then fold it again, and then tear it up, and then fold those pieces, and then try to blend them together, and yet it somehow works visually.
Now, director, imagine it in 3D like this. And he shows you a 2D image. And it's like
one of my biggest regrets. There are movies that I always regret not seeing in either 3D or 4DX. How to Train Your Dragon is one of them. Doctor Strange is one of them.
Did you see Tarzan in 3D?
The one with Alexander Skarsgård?
Yes.
Nope.
Surprisingly, I watched it the first time in 3D, and it was actually properly used, which was really nice. I don't know how to explain it, but like it was very grounding to watch it like that.
Oh no! I saw the real groundbreaking cinema in 3D. I saw The Last Airbender in 3D.
You would. You look like someone who saw Last Airbender in 3D.
And I
always wonder what was wrong with you.
I was about to say I hated every minute of it, but realistically, because I was 8 at the time, I loved it, and then I grew class, and I was like, no, this sucks.
Like, oh wait, no, I just like I don't love you. I love the idea of you.
I like you because you have things I recognize.
Yeah.
And then I got older and I realized, oh, you're killing all the things I recognize.
Or you're like slandering.
You're creatively killing them all. Okay.
Uncreative. Very uncreative. But,
which is something you can't say for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
No.
Which is one of the most creative movies in a long time.
And honestly, it doesn't step on the things that I like. It more like runs past them and then runs back to them again.
The amount of movies they reference and the amount of times it worked itself into the story is hilarious.
And
I love it.
I was saying, after the first Doctor Strange, okay, this is a pretty big, complex thing.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about not only multiverse, but we're also talking about magic and how both intersect with each other.
And you're barely in some science, like there's a science to it, quote unquote.
Exactly.
And they're scraping the surface just to get the audience like, okay, don't leave yet. It's not going to give you a headache yet.
One of my favorite things was in Doctor Strange, because I recently watched it. When Doctor Strange is talking to the Ancient One, and he's trying to grasp the concept of creating a portal, and he just says back to her what she just said to him, and he says, that makes no sense. And she just says, not everything does. Not everything has to. You just have to believe it. And everything, and I'm like, wow, fixed it.
What a way to make something like that digestible for the audience who is, if they're not like us even, or like better, if they're not us or more or less, it makes it more understandable point by point, not oversimplifying it either. It just we'll give you microdosing multiverse. It's a microdose of an idea so that over time you can build a complete immunity to the headache of wrapping your head around it.
Oh, yeah.
So by the time, after all, whatever, because like What If and like Infinity War
And Loki.
Endgame and Loki, all of that, you know, we're treading, okay. We don't want it to be a writer's backdoor, though.
Yeah.
Not yet.
We don't want it to be what DC is constantly doing with their stuff. Every single time something bombs, they say, "Oh no,
movies,
it's
specifically in live action
specifically
movies.
in movie and sometimes in TV shows."
Yes.
I mean, Constantine.
Live action.
Remember
Typically.
the Constantine TV show that happened for one season, bombed, and then they said, "Oh no, that was in another universe. We're bringing him back for Legends." For Legends of Tomorrow.
You could have just said you casted him for it, but okay. Like, there's no excuse. You're using it as an excuse, not as a cool, like, finite point that we can break off of and see the outcome of. It's like, okay, you broke it, and now I have to see the outcome. Like,
you have to build up to the multiverse from a more grounded standpoint for it to be digestible for audiences.
You didn't alter my words. You just muddied them. You didn't change anything about what I said, but you just made it sound so much more worse just by tone.
I mean, just look at where we started with Iron Man, how grounded that movie was, and now we're in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. If you just watch both of those movies back to back and hadn't seen any of the other Marvel movies, you would be lost. But because you have those stepping stones to really understand.
Still by themselves, they can still feel like, okay, baby steps to this idea of this character. For Doctor Strange, as long as if you see Avengers Tower and it's like, oh, a comic fan will be like, whoa, I know that tower. We're at this point in time, so we know that Avengers Tower has been built. Like, that's not too confusing. What other point in Doctor Strange do you think would confuse someone if they saw it by itself?
If they saw Doctor Strange by itself, I mean, they mentioned the Time Stone, the fact that it's an Infinity Stone, and Doctor Strange says, what? Oh, and the post-credit scene where Thor's in it.
Well, I was going to say, if you like Marvel, you could wrap your head around it. If you like movies, I feel like you could still kind of wrap your head around it as a solo thing. It's like, oh, Hulk exists. Iron Man exists. Like, it's not too bad. But,
Wow, the more I think about it, Doctor Strange really holds up as a standalone movie.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think Marvel's trying to redo is, okay, it is connected. We know everything's connected. But we do
have to connect everything because it's the logical thing to do and it's the more practical thing to do. I mean, with most of these characters, they are facing universe level threats. It would be weird for characters not to cross over. It would be very ignorant.
Now that we're crawling away from New York, it's a little more helpful. Moon Knight stands by itself.
Absolutely.
It's great. I was very satisfied by it.
But I was satisfied until the end, but that's me.
I understand that. For explaining to my parents, though, up until that point, I was like, oh, yeah, Inception establishes the concept. Doctor Strange built on the concept. Everything Everywhere All at Once, it did this thing where
it said, oh, you've explained it to everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to use it to the extent now.
And to someone like us, we're just like, yeah, I get it. Like, okay, I've heard this one before. And it's like, I sit down, I'm like, okay, everyone's just going to compare it to whoa, what did you whoa. And every time I'm just repeat, whoa, how did you do that? How did you do that? Until the point where I'm like laughing so hard in my seat at this that it's so absurd. And I'm actually, it's comically absurd. It's
It's the amount of absurd you want a comedy to be absurd. Like, it's a Monty Python level of comedy, but if Monty Python handled the multiverse.
I'm just imagining like some mongrel idiot waiting for the quip or well, that sounded cooler in my head midway through the movie. It's just like, well, that sounded cooler in my head. Like, just stuff like that. It was very refreshing for stuff like that to have not happened, especially for someone or something like that so unique.
One of the images that will always be ingrained in my memory from everything everywhere all at once will be hot dog fingers. That image will be ingrained in my mind forever.
Especially the was that 2001: A Space Odyssey? That whole thing. Like, I feel like that's what Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was trying to do with its scene, and it just wasn't
it tried to reference other things, but it just failed.
It could have stood on its own. That could have been timeless.
The fact that it not only references that, but it references that within a timeline within the movie. Mm-hmm. That's why it works. It's not just a reference, it's a reference to something that actually happened in their universe.
But for stuff like that, I was just very happy to see something that made a tough to grasp concept look like child's play looking back on it side by side. It's just like, yeah, that thing that you struggled to get your audience to wrap their head around, we wrapped it around the audience's head instead. So they're seeing in 360 at this point, or beyond 360. If they're seeing in like a million degrees by this point.
My only real, well, okay, so I used this complaint in my movie review for Everything Everywhere All at Once. My problem with the movie was that it was a bit too absurd at times, and because it's such a long movie, by the time we're 2/3 through, I was just sort of exhausted by just how insane it was. And then someone commented on that review saying that they put it in less harsh terms, but I'm going to say what they actually meant. They basically said that my complaint was total BS. And I was like, the more I thought about it as I was saying it, the more I thought that too. So I have to watch it again.
Mm-hmm. And you might have just been tired at that point.
I mean, we did see it. We did see an evening screening of it. So
yeah, it literally just might have been like
after a day of school. So
yeah. I am so glad I did a rewatch too. I'm glad Odd got to see it because like it was that funny.
I need to watch it. I am certain my dad will hate it. My mom, I think, will be my guess for
she'll
what
laugh at moments.
My guess from my mom will be is 50-50. She will either love it or hate it, like my dad.
Mm-hmm. She will not enjoy how long it is, even though it's not that long. It just feels long with how much you go through at a time.
Yep. The perfect example of the distance, movie-wise, between me and my parents would be, I saw last year's The Green Knight. Did you see the?
I did not.
But you know what The Green Knight is.
No.
Oh, it's an A24 movie about King Arthur and the legend of.
I heard. I think I saw the trailer for it.
Yeah, it was. It was based on the one story where one of the knights is given the opportunity to kill an immortal knight, cuts off his head, and the knight stands up and says, 1 year, you have to come to me, and I have to do that to you. That's fair. And then he does that, and then everything happens, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole quest movie, but it's not really a full-on mainstream medieval film. It's more an examination of what it means to have courage and be brave. It's a character study. Mm-hmm. And when my dad said that he wanted to watch it when it came out, when it was free on HBO, I screamed at him, "No, no, no, I loved it. You'll hate it." He watched the first 10 minutes and then fell asleep.
Yep. I think he wanted to go to sleep. He ran out of NyQuil. He was just trying to find something to fall asleep to.
Oh, he falls asleep to every single movie if we're not in the theater and the sound isn't blasting.
You got to choose the theaters that don't have the reclining seats, because then someone might fall asleep.
Yeah, my mom has done that on occasion. I'm surprised my dad hasn't done. I've never seen my dad do that with the reclining chairs at the theater.
I think my dad did it at Endgame and Infinity War. I think he woke up.
Wow.
He woke up when he saw me tearing up at Infinity War.
Wow. Did you tear up at Endgame? Did you tear up in Endgame?
No, I was like more somber and defeated at the start. I was already just like.
I was more defeated for other reasons.
Man.
I was more defeated by just how. Okay, every single time I have to defend myself. I don't think Endgame is bad.
What? Oh wait, yeah.
I don't think.
You have to defend yourself. The other thing.
I don't think Endgame is bad. I just had expectations, and it did not live up to those expectations. And I can point out the things that did not work for me.
I accidentally attacked you for
for saying that Endgame wasn't bad.
Endgame wasn't bad. What?
Now you can all attack him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Come at me. I can just do the whole. It's a brand. It's a played up. It's
overrated. Well, you can say that for Avatar. The Avatar with the blue people. That movie's overrated.
Overrated?
They're giving it another re-release. Another one.
I guess when it comes to effects, yeah, it's a breakthrough.
Story-wise, no.
It's just like it.
I would rather
Tarzan.
rather Endgame be the highest-grossing film of all time, which it was, and then suddenly Fox, in their last dying moments, decided, you know what, we're going to re-release Avatar for no reason other than so that it can be the highest grossing film of all time.
Would you say Tarzan and Avatar are pretty close in their thing? Being, colonization, we're destroying whoever's environment. There's one guy from our side who's actually on their side.
Believe it or not, I honestly think Tarzan handles it with more intelligence.
And, grounding.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like mechs. I like mechs.
Yeah.
And that movie has mechs.
That movie has a lot of things that it was anime-inspired content.
Meh. I mean, it and RoboCop 2014 could fall into the same category, honestly.
No, because Avatar is overrated but not awful. RoboCop's bad. Mm-hmm. 2014 RoboCop's bad.
Yes.
The first one is really fun.
I'd buy that for $1.
I get it.
I would love to see something of a RoboCop revival. Not even not a revival. Just I want to see it in theaters again. Pretty much. Yeah. That's all I want.
A re-release, you mean?
Yeah, I just want a re-release of that. But for when I was finishing with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
We need to come up with a shorter title for that because
Everything All at Once.
Everything All at Once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I can say Multiverse of Madness. I can't keep saying Everything Everywhere All at Once constantly.
Everything ... all at once.
Everything
the
all at once.
Okay. It just explaining to my parents, it beat something that was already building on a complicated concept in its own game when it is supposed to be the easily digestible thing.
Yeah.
And it made it so understandable without explaining it.
Because it did it in a comedic way that...
But not in a crappy Marvel quips way. Not in a, we're all grown adults,
I just realized why it works. Because unlike Christopher Nolan movies where they try to reach audiences on a more intellectual level and it goes too far and most audiences can't grasp it, Everything Everywhere All at Once doesn't immediately try to grasp with you on an intellectual level. It grasps you on a more emotional, funny level, and so that you can understand it based on the feelings and less on the facts. But even then, the facts still hold up.
And the Nolan issue, sometimes over quote-unquote intelligent movies will try to talk down to you when you could keep up with them, but it's just talking too fast so that you sound smarter.
To be fair, I'll give Tenet this. First time I saw it, I completely understood it. I was like, yeah, this is great. This is my kind of time travel movie.
But was that only on the surface for you? Was that only on the surface when you tried to delve deep? You felt like you understood it less?
I'll be honest. I usually like to take notes while reviewing movies. I took half a page of notes, which usually I do one page and then the back of the page. Mm-hmm. I took only half of the notes because I wanted to pay attention so badly. Which, credit to the movie, it made me pay attention so badly, and I wanted to pay attention so badly.
I want to take Adderall and watch that movie just so I can pay full attention to everything.
It was a time travel movie that managed to do it in a unique way, which nowadays is difficult. And credit where credit is due, Christopher Nolan pulled it off.
For me, I would also call it a time travel. Time and space are connected. Emphasize the space, but not space travel, because then it sounds like an astronomy movie.
Exactly.
Like a space. It's not space travel.
It's not Interstellar.
It's time travel, but time and space style, not just timeline.
Time
moving.
and relative dimension in space.
Yes, but
you know what I'm mentioning?
Yes. Obviously,
I'm mentioning the DeLorean.
Of course. For Tenet, though, just the way it emphasizes, you're not going back in time. It's things are going back in time, but we can still go forward. It's not a left and right scroll on you're not
exactly.
You're not swiping on a timeline. It's not
exactly.
A YouTube
People
time bar.
assume that time is a strict progression from cause to effect, but actually, when you think about it from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
And in between, during the progression forward, event, it can be broken up into contained things.
Yeah.
Even with the TARDIS description, it can be contained into a ball.
Exactly.
And the way the TARDIS does it, everything's encapsulated in a big ball. The TARDIS can bounce anywhere inside that ball, like a electron around an atom. It can just bounce anywhere in space. With Tenet's time explanation, I feel like we're stepping a lot into time along with Multiverse, which I think is okay
Yeah,
because, in
because
some Multiverse jumps, like what we saw in Endgame, technically there were time jumps with that.
usually when there is a space concept or a time concept or a multiverse concept, they all interconnect with each other at some point.
Because why would the Supreme Sorcerer, who has a time capsule, mess with space more than anything? Because he cannot interact with one without affecting the other. It is only confusing when the Space Stone and Time Stone, because they are separate entities, technically can attack the time of specific things. They will affect the space the second the stone isn't affecting it at the same time, though.
If you had the Infinity Gauntlet, do you think you would use it for
I can already tell you because
benevolent or malevolent means?
I can already tell you, and I'll leave it up to interpretation. In Gmod, in the game Gmod, I actually want to talk about Tron Theory after this. Remind me. In Gmod, excuse me, I kept launching a rocket, like a nuke, off, and then I would just snap. It just starts reversing every time. So I had a group of NPCs just spawned in a small city, and they would all look up and react and try to fire at it. And then every time one of them hit the nuke, it blew up in the air, and then I just reversed it so they were flying across the ground. So it's just up and down, and they were just blasting out in every direction. It's just like, oh no. I kept spamming repeat on this.
I know for sure if I had the Infinity Gauntlet, I would think that, oh yeah, I'm going to be the best superhero. But honestly, I would just use it for the most narcissistic things.
Because you could undo it. It's an undo button in real life.
First of all, Reality Stone. Make myself fit all the time, no matter how many horrible things I eat. There I go. First thing I ever do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for stuff like that, man. I when I had it in a simulated environment, I went straight to evil. I'm not gonna lie. I just kept.
Exactly. If you put most people in a godlike situation like they do in video games, they will always do something that is intrinsically evil to the world around them.
Thanos' plan is just this. It's just the plot of the movie Click.
Oh my god.
Adam Sandler Thanos is a ripoff of Adam Sandler. Let's be honest, guys. The Click, more like in Clickety War. I don't know.
Actually, to be fair, to Click, half of the movie hated. First half of the movie hated. When it got sad, it got really sad.
I think when people talk about why they loved Ted because they were young and stupid, I feel like I liked the Click for that reason. I think the Click was my Ted because I didn't watch Ted. I was too smart by that point. I liked Futurama. I had a sense of humor.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one that I would connect to, like not Master of Disguise.
Did you like South Park?
I didn't always love South Park, but that's because I didn't always watch South Park. Now I watch it more now than I have ever in my life, and I like it.
I'm trying to think. It's like one of those things where I only watch it if someone else is watching it.
Exactly.
It's a party game.
Exactly.
South Park is a party game of shows to me.
I remember every single time that I went on a field trip with my camp, and we were staying at a hotel. Every single time, South Park would be on, despite the fact that we were all very young teens.
Yeah, dude, my older brother, because we had like the basement TV, I could play the most violent games. I could watch Adult Swim. It was great.
I never watched Adult Swim because I always fell asleep.
Dude, I liked King of the Hill for how much it could also function as a cartoon without stepping into adult jokes. Like, because of its absurdity, I still say it's probably one of the best animated shows to ever have been on television because it just walked a line.
I remember every time King of the Hill came on and Adult Swim started, I knew, bedtime.
That was your bedtime cue, man.
That was myself. I made that bedtime cue for myself.
Ironically, that was my fall asleep on the couch and wake up in bed cue. That, and I think like late night Simpsons probably.
I remember when I was really, really young, I would wake up at 3 a.m. and my dad would be waking up to go to work, and there would always be these really absurd cartoons on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. And I would always watch them. And nowadays, when I'm trying to think back, I'm like, what were the names of those shows?
Fanboy and Chum Chum, Mr. Meaty.
No.
Just getting the horrors out of it.
No, I remember. Fanboy and Chum Chum, I actually did enjoy.
I enjoyed it. It actually holds up.
Mr. Meaty I legitimately thought was a fever dream show because every single time I would watch it would be if I was staying home sick from school, because it would always come on around 3 o'clock ish or 2 o'clock ish.
I'm just saying, guys, fever dream, kind of offensive. I'm not going to lie. As someone who actually had fever dreams, which was actually just my waking moments. When I was watching something, technically because when I had epilepsy, it was like, oh yeah, I actually did have fever dreams.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking, like, I called a movie a fever dream once, and that's why I didn't like it. And it was recent. Which movie did I call? And I was like, oh yeah, Eraserhead. I called Eraserhead because I just saw it in my film class, a fever dream movie, because I think the director basically just had a fever dream and then woke up, felt better, and then wrote the script for this movie, and then said, this is it. This is my movie.
More amazing ideas come to me in dreams than in the shower, which is kind of annoying because I feel like I could bring a pen and pencil into the shower.
Most of my best ideas are from music, oddly enough. I like if it's either a movie score or an actual to be fair to movie scores, actual music like Don't Fear the Reaper or anything like that. I'll just think like, okay, what movie can I make that this would fit well into?
I want you to type in a new tab, maladaptive daydreaming, because I think we both do it for our work.
Oh,
I think
maladaptive.
There it is.
Daydream.
I'm pretty sure. When I discovered
a condition where a person regularly experiences daydreams that are intense and highly distracting. Yeah, and it's like one off from ADHD.
All of them are like, what is it caused by? Is it caused by mental illness? Is it rare? Is it? I think a lot of people might do it, or like you imagine yourself in a music video.
You're not a. Well, I hate. This sounds mean when I say it out loud, but it's my truth. You're not a creative person if you don't have this almost 24/7.
Yeah, I'm daydreaming a lot of the time.
If you want to go into into the movie industry, the TV industry, the songwriting industry, any of those industries, any creative or any entertainment industry, if you're not having this 24/7, you're going to fail.
I think the earliest validation of this was the ongoing early 2000s joke of he's doing karate in his underwear at 2:30 in the morning. It's like, yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah. I'll do that at like 2:30 in the afternoon too. I'm a ninja. Look at me. I'm doing karate.
I mean, imagine how much people like Kevin Feige and Sam Raimi must have gotten bullied in school for how nerdy they were. Look at them now.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I respect those who stick to their weird, even when it could be a weirdo in school, as long as they're not like doing bad things, as long as they're not like a creep. Like when you're outcasted badly.
Well, if he's listening, I would be surprised, but if he is, I mean, no disrespect to you, you were honestly one of my favorite people in high school. You were honestly one of the coolest people to hang out with because I could just have a real conversation with you about nerd shit. Mm-hmm. Michael was one of those people.
DS Michael?
Yes.
Dude, did I tell you about this? I talked about this in our favorite characters. Man, we could hold whole arguments. Honestly, I'd say you're both equally very
introverted. Stubbornly introverted.
When it comes, the way I could talk to you about like movies and TV,
you could talk to him about video games.
Exclusively Nintendo, though, especially.
Yeah.
Because I think he can do the anti-nostalgia argument. I can do the pro for whatever we're nostalgic about. But yeah, Michael, hi.
You were awesome in high school, but
I'm sorry I almost dislocated your shoulder during the Smash reveal. I think he forgave me in that moment. He saw like the childish gleam in my eye, or he was like too numb that he was probably going to strangle me if I wasn't like already too excited by that point.
There are many times in my life that socially I think I peaked in high school, creative wise. That was my lowest point.
What?
That was my lowest point because I was just copying off of other ideas.
And
then I didn't get original until the very end of high school, and then bleh.
If you look back on it and think to yourself, well, nothing is original. Is the idea interesting? Even if it is a cop-out.
Literally everything everywhere all at once.
Copies and cop-outs are often more successful than their original product. Hence Deadpool. Hence
Deadpool. Hence outside of entertainment. Hence Oreos. Mm-hmm. Oreos wasn't the first. Hence Zoom. Hence Zoom.
Hence
Skype came first.
Even before, I think Skype was a copy of something. Hence FaceTime. Like
Skype got pissed. Skype must have gotten pissed 2020 when everyone started Zooming everyone instead of Skyping.
Well, Skype didn't have the bandwidth to keep up. Zoom just was so easily accessible with the nice corporate-shaped, easily rounded buttons. Like, you know, those friendly... It was friend-shaped.
I remember College Humor did a skit about this where one of the guys played the role of the CEO of Skype, and he was doing a PSA for Skype, and he was like, what can Zoom do that Skype can't? And one of the people off screen said, well, you can Zoom with 100 people on Zoom. Why? Why would you ever want to do that? I don't even know 100 people, let alone want to talk to 100 people.
And then concerts. Through Zoom, meetings through Zoom, playings through Zoom, it just became a central piece for stuff like that. Interviews, news reports, court cases. Still surprising that that's allowed.
And proms.
Yeah,
look at John Krasinski.
Weird.
Remember that? I didn't go to that. I didn't log on to that. I just stayed home during my prom.
Didn't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even during junior prom, I remember I didn't really party. I was just hanging out with my quote unquote date. I was just hanging out with her in the cafeteria, and we were just talking.
Honestly, the junior prom was like not too.
Junior prom was awesome, and I'm pissed we didn't get our senior prom.
Yeah, I don't know what senior prom would have been like. I mean, I got an amazing prom gift. I
remember when the people 1 year younger than us got their senior prom, and I went to the high school for their graduation just to like wave them off. And I asked, "Oh, how was your prom?" And they said, "Yeah, it was good." And then they started complaining of it. I was like, "No, you don't get to complain.
You don't get an opinion.
You don't get to complain. You had a senior prom."
I think the most sibling relationship between grades was ours and the one under us.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's that for most people. And then when you get 2 years younger, that's when it starts to get. I like you, but you're not really my pal.
No, you're an annoying toddler. Honestly, like look at you. You shrunk. Like for some groups of people, I think we're both pretty normal sized. Like we're both happy mediums for the most part, maybe upper medium. But like, dude, it's either small toddler, like they still haven't hit puberty in high school, or like total NBA drafts. I think
I'm freaked out by how tall the people that we went to high school with that were 2 years younger than us, how tall they are now.
I saw one of them because
one of them because they live right by me.
They worked at my first job. It was both of our first job. And I see him, and he's walking towards me, and he's like, my eyes are going up and up and up, and I'm like, dude, wait a minute. We were like eye level at that point. What happened? I think Anish also had that, where he walked in the Wawa.
Exactly.
I was like,
that's who I was alluding to, but I didn't want to say his name.
I was gonna say I saw him from walking into the parking lot. I'm like, oh hey dude, how you been? And as he walks in, I'm like, oh,
he's tall now.
You're 6'2". Wow.
You were like up to my chin last time I saw you.
Yeah, like man.
Is this what it feel like? Is this what it feels like to be old?
Is this what it feels like to be my older siblings? Honestly.
No, this is what it feels like to be an older relative. Like every time you see an older relative.
Why do they keep saying that? And then I'm like, wow, this child I haven't seen in a while is now 6'2". Wow. I mean, how am I supposed? The multiverse is expansive. The multiverse is expansive.
Yeah, we went on a tangent there.
But yeah, for my Tron tangent, I had another.
Oh, go ahead, and then we'll get into Doctor Strange stuff.
I was saying for something like that, if they're still doing a Tron 3, you think it's actually gonna happen?
Jared Leto says that's gonna happen.
Oh, then it's gonna happen, man. That's such a backhanded confirmation. It's just like, well,
Jared Leto said it.
Jared Leto said it's gonna happen. Man, it is gonna happen, isn't it? But Jared Leto said it's gonna happen, so it's.
I feel bad because Jared Leto is always such a hit or miss actor, and he's had so many misses. Well, let me phrase it this way: his misses have been more publicized. His hits have been less.
I didn't know Paul Allen was Jared Leto. They don't look the same. He looks like...
Paul Allen looks like everyone else in that movie, and that's sort of the point.
Mm-hmm. But, like, he looks...
Hey, Albert Strand.
he looks creepily young enough now to just go back to the role. He could
It
literally,
is freaky.
like Christian Bale might need a little bit of makeup, maybe some.
No. I think Christian Bale could still pull it off.
Yes, I'm just saying he has to shave. That's it. I feel like he
Yeah.
has more 5 o'clock shadow now.
He was like 29 or something like that.
Now he's like 50.
He's gonna be the villain in the new Thor movie.
Weird. That's gonna be fun.
And
That's
Taika
gonna be fun.
Waititi has hinted that he's going to be the best MCU villain to date.
What Scientology does to an MF, like straight up, why is
Well, look at Tom Cruise.
yeah, he's weird. I'm not
Insane.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, oh, I love to do my own stunts. Yeah, because your bones are made of jello and your face is made of resin. Of course, you're not gonna sustain an injury. You
Most
can't
of
get
his movies
bruised.
are amazing, but he is insane.
I mean, Daniel Craig aged like a person, and he's appreciable because his role shows him like aging like a person. Not even like, oh, he's old now. No, he just, oh yeah, he looks like
He looks like a person that got older.
a worn-out spy who probably is tired of jumping over cars and dodging explosions.
Like the actor who is tired of dodging cars.
And running under explosions
Yeah.
because let's flex how good our practical effects are. Dude, your lead is like so tired. Look at him. I think he's gonna pass out from heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion? What am I?
Yeah, heat exhaustion. Yeah.
What am I? I'm thinking of sun poisoning because I passed out from sun poisoning once. It's weird that that's the name for it though, because it's weird that the sun is technically a poison. The deadly
just
laser
got-
in space is a poison.
I just passed out because I was fat in middle school.
You just got like wheezing, just like
Yeah, low blood pressure, dude. It hits you.
low blood pressure.
I know, right? It's tough to say.
Low blood. Wow, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's like a voice actor practice.
Low blood pressure.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So what was I saying? I was gonna start the Tron tangent. Sorry.
Yeah, go.
For a conflict of that and the Matrix, talking about alternate realities, I feel like something you could also do with Tron is pretty much the big story is like, well, the simulation never got a new connection. It just kept updating itself on the same software. That's like never going past Windows 7, but you're running 2022 programs on a Windows 7 computer. Imagine you cannot not be in 320p, like old square screen, like 90s quality for digital.
Yeah. AOL sort of thing.
You can't have analog. That is the problem. You only have a digital space, and the digital capacity is very finite. So it adapts itself perfectly to be finite like that. Imagine low poly thing with almost a 4K texture on it. So every polygon is almost like a perfect glass ball look for like the Matrix it looks analog. It's plugged in, it's physical. There's actually like gel resin that assists with the simulation components. Something like Ready Player One is mostly analog because it's a physical plate strapped to your chest that you have to adapt to taking a hit with. And the chest plate is physically hitting you. And
Which must suck because why would anyone ever get that if they go into a video game? Because there are some things where that could be pleasant.
the game VR chat
But
would like to have a discussion about its controllers. There's multiple controllers that you can use, multiple seat adaptations and controllers for games like that.
There are only a couple instances where that could be pleasant. Most, you would just be getting hit and you would actually feel it and it would hurt like hell.
So for the simulation, though, imagine it ages so long, and when he enters, the way what was the actor's name? Flynn. The way they could not render his face in complete detail.
Flynn in Tron?
Yes.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges' face in Tron looks a little uncanny when they try to de-age
That's
him.
sort of the point because...
They could have... what are you going to say?
But that's sort of the point because they're in a simulation which doesn't always have the best graphics.
They could have played into that more necessarily with, well, the simulation had to keep going. It kept updating itself in higher detail within its own capacity.
That's one of the instances where age did help the movie because now they can make that excuse, whereas back then there was probably no excuse.
They were
for
trying
that.
to play it off like, look, we completely de-aged Flynn to the point where he I just saw it on the big screen. Sorry, I was editing that on like my phone.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, the monitor I was looking at his face model for, it was a very small screen. I didn't have my glasses on. He looked really good from afar. I just put him on a giant screen in front of the audience. Oh yeah, I didn't run this past the director. It's already in theaters, dude. Sorry.
I do need to rewatch the Tron movies because the first one because both of them I only saw once. The first one from what was it, the 80s, the 90s?
The OG Tron?
The OG Tron. I remember that being boring as hell.
Because it was I think the way I thought Star Trek was boring, it was an argumentative war that was very contained because they were fighting over simulation space.
And then Tron Legacy, I remember being better.
Exciting but shallow.
I remember being better, and I was like, oh yeah, that was cool. And I never saw it again.
It was exciting but shallow. I think the soundtrack also
I remember the visuals more than I remember any of the story.
Yep, exciting but shallow visually. Story-wise, yeah, it's continuing it. Yep, we see a cool thing. I feel like the real world scenes were way too good looking than I remember. Like that early 2010s.
I more remember Michael Sheen from Tron Legacy than any of the story.
Mm-hmm. But if you could play into that, oh, our reality is finite. There's actually a war for how much this world can render itself out. We fight for space in here. Whoever doesn't make it out.
For a split second, when you were going to go on your Tron tangent and start, I thought you were going to start to make predictions for Tron 3, and I was I was completely ready to say they did that in Wreck-It Ralph, where they go into different video games. I was ready for that argument, then you went into something completely different.
They weren't fighting for the simulation, though. They were just fighting for their validation of existence in Wreck-It Ralph.
Yep.
Like, something that they keep messing up is it jumping into the real world at full capacity, CGI monster effects like the Proto-Sonic effect. It's like, oh, look, it's the exact silhouette of this character in horrendous detune, the detune effect, when they try to give horrifying detail to the shape of the character so that the silhouette matches. That is exclusively for like hand-drawn or just 2D animation to make sure, oh yeah, can we recognize the character when you're blocking them out in your storyboards so they don't look like a blob or they don't look like a shadow. Because you can't always make out a shadow. That's why they're used as shadows for most of the Tron mystery.
For most of the Tron characters, though, you can't.
And they for a lot of them,
they all look almost the exact same.
And you can play into that. That's why your main character can take off his helmet, because his helmet isn't part of his character. It's mostly him hiding among like the Tronanons, like the streamlined helmet look. Pretty much with that, if you try to play more into, well, the old simulation never stopped. For something like The Matrix, it's, well, the simulation is so gosh darn detailed that we can't tell it from reality. Imagine a story where it plays into that more violently, where something like a Tron simulation, oh, we never turned it off. They're still fighting in there because we spawned them and they fought in this finite space we built for them. Oh yeah, the redone version is something close to The Matrix. It's such a detailed thing that you literally cannot tell where it stops. You can play into the horror of both of those simultaneously. Yeah. Or you can make them their own, like, contained stories. Like, I'm saying, for the same way that a multiverse is an idea that's so hard to introduce, but once it's easily digestible, you can take it so many places because it's pretty new and fresh, especially, like, concerning even it being a comic concept.
Yeah.
How well, young? It's pretty young.
I don't think it's that young.
In comparison to time travel.
I'm trying to think because I'm trying to remember if the introduction of Jay Garrick meeting Barry Allen, I'm trying to remember if that was a multiverse thing or a time travel thing.
I would bet because he could have been the old Flash. I'm pretty sure he was literally the old Flash meets the new, not the universe where Flash is Jay Garrick meets the universe where the Flash is. Just look it up. When was the first multiverse comic? Because it'll come up with the Flash first. For stuff like that, though, I just think teetering with the idea of reality simulations, multiverses, and ideas that are very far off. Time travel was not an easy concept to explain to an audience, but like Doctor Who was accepted at first. I don't think there was like heavy backlash when classic Doctor Who launched because it was some trippy imagery, but it wasn't like 70s LSD trippy. It was like, whoa, what is this effect I'm seeing? I've literally never seen this created like in the real world, and it was analog. It was still like analog. Did I say analog video? Sorry.
Yeah.
I meant
The Flash. It's the Flash 1, 2, 3.
God
damn it.
So, Barry Allen, the second person to don the mantle of the Flash. I was reading that. Excuse me.
The Flash.
It was 19. It said 1940. Go back. Just hit the back button. Yeah, goof.
There we go.
The second person to don the mantle of the Flash meets his quote-unquote predecessor,
Yep, I was
Jay
right.
Garrick, who debuted in the comics as the Flash 21 years earlier.
Oh. Well,
Talking about Jay
Garrick.
Garrick. Jay Garrick was the predecessor, but
He was the president.
So
that doesn't
when
answer the
did-
question.
which comic did Multiverse first? I'm actually interested.
Avengers 85.
No way. In 1971, that seems too young, actually.
Avengers 85.
Avengers Volume 85, database, world imminent peril. The world is not peril. Is there like a description page, or is it just like
Okay. Synopsis.
on the Archon's world? The Avengers get ready for Thor to use his hammer to send them back to their own world. While the Black Knight is returned to Britain, only Thor and Black Panther appear in New York City. Before two heroes can begin searching for their missing friends, they end up getting stuck helping Captain America and Spider-Man in a Toys for Tots campaign. Wow. So Disney saw a very branded on brand and like snagged it. That was smart. They knew what they were doing.
Okay, the synopsis. The actual synopsis. The one sentence synopsis. World in imminent peril as a fiery doomsday draws ever nearer, and only the Avengers can stop it if they can overcome the Squadron Sinister, which sounds like an evil Avengers. The Squadron Sinister.
No, he doesn't sound that sinister. Maybe if he was the Super Squadron Sinister, maybe we'd buy it. So it seems like weird. I guess Marvel. Is it weird that Marvel was the first one to do it? I guess because Dr. Fate didn't have a multiverse thing. Who in DC really has a multiverse thing besides an outside force?
Besides an outside force? What do you mean by that?
Like Superman doesn't multiverse. He can scream He can scream so hard that reality shatters, but that's post multiverse. Or that was to fix the multiverse.
It's not the Flash because he time travels. Maybe Vibe?
I guess technically Flash because he can
No, because his running just time travels.
but he can do the vibration effect, like the way he can pass through matter. He could phase shift himself.
Theoretically, I don't think that was like the first thing that was done. I think Vibe, maybe. It depends on what they used Vibe for first, because in Arrowverse they primarily use him for portals and for opening up places to other multiverses.
And a lot of times when they just say alternate reality, they're also trying to treat it more like a time story by that point, because they're like, oh, well, the
alternate reality in different universes
are synonymous, but by that time they didn't have a multiverse.
Like Flashpoint is an alternate reality. It's not a multiverse story, though.
But technically it's in the multiverse. It's not a multiverse story.
Exactly.
No matter what all these things are now, because we have a term for it, multiverse. Parallel to multiverse, synonymous to the idea of multiverse stories.
Parallel world.
Yeah. I'm saying like they match up to the multiverse no matter what, because it's a multiverse. Literally you can cross to wherever. And when something plays into it that absurdly, it works. But when you try to use it as a cop-out, it looks like a cop-out.
So I just want to get these out of the way before I forget, so that we can go back into Doctor Strange, everything everywhere all at once. Just that. We have polls.
Let's look at those polls.
Our first poll on our Instagram was the question, what are you most looking forward to in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? I thought you were going to sneeze.
No,
I was already.
No, my yawns and sneezes look the same. I like to leave you on your tippy toes. I'm wondering. Tell me about that poll.
Oh, you were yawning. Okay. What are you most looking forward to in Multiverse of Madness? What are you most looking forward to? What are you anticipating? What is your prediction? What are you most looking forward to?
To start, especially the aftermath of No Way Home, because I want to know if he ever really acknowledges what happens, or if it's treated as a passerby event for him.
I'm excited more for Sam Raimi directing, because there were rumors that he originally made a 3-hour cut, and it was supposed to be rated R, and it was all a horror movie. And Marvel said, no, and then trimmed it down to 2 hours, PG-13.
We'll get a director's cut, don't worry.
However, reviews say that this is the scariest Marvel movie to date. Which, thank God, they kept some of it in.
I think I saw a film theory talking about how Marvel might step into their more adult, MCU especially, will step into their adult phasing.
I would say that Moon Knight stepped into it until the end.
The end wasn't as harsh as a cop-out as much as it was...
The end was Power Rangers. I'm sorry. The end was Power Rangers. And I have nothing against Power Rangers, but what Moon Knight wasn't Power Rangers. And then suddenly, by the end of the season, they suddenly went all Power Rangers.
Technically, that's on brand, because the Power Rangers and the Megazord are a cop-out of Spider-Man and his giant spider bot. And
that's not on brand, because nothing that Moon Knight was setting up beforehand throughout the past 5 episodes was leading to a giant battle between two literally giant beings.
Steve's Knight, Deadpool. Just saying. Moon Knight and Deadpool are very like comics Deadpool, not Marvel, not movie Deadpool, because movie Deadpool only has one voice.
Okay.
Moon Knight as a character and Deadpool are freakishly similar, but I feel like there's not many lines drawn between them.
You want to know who I thought Moon Knight was freakishly similar to, and now I'm pissed that
Batman.
Nope, that they still haven't come out with a series or a movie for him yet.
Let's hear it.
Ghost Rider. He is so much like Ghost Rider. And yet the only reference of Ghost Rider in the MCU was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, as much as I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Kevin Feige seems to be distancing himself from just as much as he wants to distance himself from the Marvel Netflix shows.
You know how Warner Brothers wanted to keep up with Disney and try to speed up their big meetup event with the Justice League? I only kind of hope in the back of my head, because of Moon Knight, they'll try to pull a Dr. Fate. I want to see a Dr. Fate. It makes me sad knowing that...
they're already doing Dr. Fate.
Yeah, but
he's going to be in Black Adam.
It's not going to hold up to what Moon Knight's already set up by this point, just because they're Egyptian. That's it. It's just going to mess up whatever aesthetic Moon Knight established, especially for stuff that's, taboo in Egypt and what kind of
Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia, thank you. Sorry, I'm like, what language do they speak in Egypt? So they speak Arabic. For some of the stuff that's taboo there, to serve the story, a taboo thing. In America, you can talk about taboo things and
get half the time.
As I say, you can get bad feedback, bad PR. That's more like free market, bad response. The public doesn't like this, so the public doesn't like it. Not much will happen unless, I don't know, they bleep it on TV or they cut out the scene entirely. Yeah. But for stuff like that, I just hope Dr. Fate can stand on its own, because I like Dr. Fate more than Moon Knight as a character. I don't know. I think that's just my implicit bias because I knew about Dr. Fate beforehand.
I honestly just... Ghost Rider in everything is... Ghost Rider, in my opinion, is the most underrated Marvel character ever, because everyone agrees he is the most visually cool character in Marvel, and yet nothing amazing has been done with him. And even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everything he was in was amazing. But no, he was a side character in that, and they were supposed to give him his own Hulu show, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended, and then suddenly Kevin Feige said, okay, now that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is over, no more of that.
My fear is that any adaptation of Ghost Rider might just look like a CW character. You could...
No, I want him to go FX. Remember Legion? The show Legion? That was in the X-Men universe, and it was on FX. And they went fully dark.
That.
And they went fully dark, and they went surreal and rated R with it. I want them to do the same thing with Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider deserves that.
Are you afraid that they're going to completely soft PG it though?
I
have my worries. I feel like if they're going to step into the adult territory, don't teeter-totter. Do a steep dive.
See, this is where Moon Knight and the other Disney Plus show comes Disney Plus shows come in, because I have noticed something, and everyone else notices it too. Let's face it.
Can I make a prediction?
Go ahead.
Is it a cop out at the finale?
Yes,
I knew it.
the entire season of every Disney Plus Marvel show is amazing,
It's
and
so
then
grand
the
and-
ending ruins it.
Because it plays it so safe that it's like, and the world came back together in one piece. Eternals did the same thing because it had so much great stuff, interesting stuff going for it. And and the giant hand didn't break the earth open. It's like, well,
The only reason
don't
No Way Home got away with that was because it was on a multiversal scale.
and the other universes got blooped back. Oh, that makes sense because he actually physically sealed up the
Yeah.
holes in his universe because he is the character who can seal up holes in a universe.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Oh, and they magically put New York back together. It's like, remember what I said about the comic in the early 2000s that you said The Boys had to do the same thing too, but it adapted it better?
Yep.
Events like that, when you take a harsh thing and you try to play it as such a drastic event, and then the city was put back together. Don't do that.
Yeah.
If you're going to put the city at risk, even the first Avengers did it when it tried to play it safe. It's like, well,
At
afterwards,
first it was like that, and then as more movies came out, they were like, oh, it wasn't all black and white. There was actually things that happened in between that made villains.
and there's gray areas and there are consequences. We literally see Peter Parker's date's father lost his business and he lost a lot of things.
We saw that Kate Bishop lost her father during the Battle of New York.
Like when you delve into that, it's like, well, it looks like you played it safe because it's just from their perspective. They were playing hero. It's their big, bright, well, I took down the guy who's obviously bad and claims he wants to be bad, so it's justified. Well, over time, wow. Looking back on it, wow, that's a lot of consequences. I am so glad they delved into the consequences. That is how you can steep into dark areas because there are dark things that happen. It's not
That was one of my biggest problems with the 2017 Justice League, because the whole climax that was surrounded, where the movie was surrounded by, was in a nuclear power plant in Russia, but the city was surrounded, so they had to constantly be evacuating civilians. And then they save the world, they save Russia, and nothing is said. Whereas in Zack Snyder's one, there are no civilians. No one is there. It is a barren wasteland. So them saving the world means nothing to the rest of the world because they were not there. That's why it works, because there were no witnesses.
Oh wow, so it's like an isolated event that actually had an impact for its story, and the city was put back. I'm sorry,
You don't need to put the city back together because no one's there.
oh, it was a land full of rubble. It's like when people argue, why did Superman not fly him out into the desert? It's like, yeah, in most other things where he is able, he's very sharp-minded when he has past debacles with villains. It's like, oh yeah, most of the time he throws them into space or he takes them out into the desert so that nothing gets
It's
messed
like
up.
saying it's like saying an amusement park in the blast radius of Chernobyl just blew up, and we would all just be like, "Oh, that's a shame." Was anyone there? No, it's Chernobyl. Why would anyone be there?
I thought you meant the show Chernobyl. I need to watch that. I've heard good things about
So
it.
have I.
Is it good?
I don't know.
You haven't watched it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. We should probably watch that.
We need to watch that. We need to watch Euphoria. We need to watch John Wick. We need to watch Indiana Jones. We need to. We only have one movie of Ghibli left, and then I want to move on to going over the DC animated movie universe, because I think that's an incredible universe that's not acknowledged by DC that they made.
And honestly, we could probably delve into a whole thing about DC animated whatever. And how
Oh yeah, by the time the movie series ends with Apocalypse War, that was amazing. I honestly think that movie better than Endgame, and maybe it's because it's half as long, and yet still managed to pull off just as many shots.
It's about substance.
It's about substance, and they don't go for over jokes.
Yeah.
They let the jokes feel natural because most of the jokes are from Harley Quinn.
pretty much when you're a passenger and the person is slamming the brakes versus like, you know, the toe. What you always brake with your toe. I can't believe SpongeBob taught me something that would last me my entire life. Is like you put
Moss grows in the east.
and it does, and you brake with your toe. And what's that one Viking holiday? Something day. Leif Erikson Day is a real holiday.
Yeah.
Important lessons to learn from early
I just saw the
2000s.
Northman, and that didn't teach me any of that.
You didn't learn about Leif Erikson Day?
In the Northman,
0 out
no.
of 10. No wonder no one's watching it. I
No.
don't feel bad for them.
Well, my dad didn't like it, so there you go. I loved it.
What was it like? Interesting. Was it 300 gritty?
No. It's somewhere between the lines of the intellectualness of the Green Knight and the mainstream nature of Conan the Barbarian.
So you give it like a 7.5, an 8,
I gave it an A.
A,
I gave it an A, close to an A plus.
a 9.3.
94.4%.
Okay. Wow, that's high.
I really enjoyed that movie.
Guess I gotta see it now. Oh God, add
It's
to
still
the list, I guess.
It's still below Batman and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
To be honest, a lot of this is very open-ended conversation concerning because it's multiverse. We can kind of
It's
go on
multiverse, and we're concerning ourselves with two of the most recent movies that came out in the past couple of months. We're obviously going to intersect with concept and movies that also came out
Because
within
there's-
the past couple of months.
There's a lot of context to them, and when we approach everything at once with how much it references, yeah, like no, I mean literally the movie Everything at Once.
Okay.
Oh wait, that actually just came off as I said everything. But yeah, approaching the movie Everything at Once with all of the context it has is so hard to center it. Like the same way,
Especially with Doctor Strange, because like we also have to acknowledge how much of the Marvel universe and how much even outside of the MCU, the Marvel universe, like the X-Men universe and the Spider-Man Sam Raimi universe.
even though, for the most part, these are all same IP, same property
They
area.
all feel different because they were all made at a time where they were divided. Now they're collided.
Honestly, you could say that about the states. How like I think there was like a proposal talking about how the states should be like territories, like divided by, because us and like Florida,
We're nothing alike.
we both fly a flag, but for the most part, we are horrendously different. Like literally could be two different countries by that point. I think
Exactly.
Spain should try to buy it back and see if they can handle it.
It's like saying California and Florida are the same. They're not. They might be
One's
the
a
most,
land, one's a world, two different Disneys.
They might be the most polar opposite states in our country.
Maybe, but for the most part, I'd say climate-wise, they aren't too dissimilar.
Climate-wise, they're pretty similar. Political climate-wise, totally different.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a California-Florida gap in in opinion. The multiverse is huge, guys. The Florida multiverse.
With that said, now that we've said what we're looking forward to most in Multiverse of Madness, I'm looking to the horror aspects. I want to see a scary Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
I also have heard good things that this movie
Did I scare you?
yeah, I thought that for a second. I
was
thought for a
letting
second
out
something
a small
broke.
cough.
Okay. I've heard good things because I've heard this movie earns its PG-13 rating, and parents should think twice before letting any of their young kids to see it
Lame.
because there are horrific images in it apparently.
In Multiverse of Madness?
Yes.
I
They
would
get
love to
away
show a
with it.
4-year-old that.
They get away with a lot apparently.
Good. I don't know.
I've heard that the body count is brutal.
I mean, Winter Soldier. I mean, Civil
They don't
War.
show all the deaths and even then they don't show all the deaths in Winter Soldier, and even when they do, they're not horrifically brutal. I've heard the deaths are high and bloody.
I mean, Force Awakens, super genocide, multi-genocide.
Yeah, but we don't see them. We don't see.
We see them watching death approach them. And
We
when
see them watching death approach them, but we don't see the skin get burned from their bodies. I've heard.
Tobey Maguire's first Spider-Man, we literally see them get evaporated. But the effect wasn't good enough. Okay, then why did the PS2 games by Rockstar get censored because it showed a chainsaw scene? Okay, double standards are double standards because I don't like XYZ. I don't like censorship for PG-13. 13-year-old me.
Misery.
That was scary, and I was scared, and I don't think kids should be allowed to watch that. The CG opening scene of Goblin with that, when the music kicked in and you see the smoke.
Out, am I?
That's creepy. It was creepy, okay? It had creepy moments.
Hello, my dear.
Okay, the way he said it was actually kind of creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think if he had...
There will be no darker moment of Spider-Man. As much as I do admit that No Way Home is probably the most adult Spider-Man, there will be no darker moment in Spider-Man movie history than him getting brutally beaten by Green Goblin in the original 2002 Spider-Man.
That, and I think maybe it's just because the masks were creepy, but when he first talks to Goblin in his mansion...
Because you can see the mouth. You can see inside the mouth.
No, when he's talking to the mask itself, when it's sitting on the mantle of the chair.
And he's crawling towards it.
Yes.
Honestly, nowadays, I think that's hilarious.
Not even him crawling. I'm saying, like, the masks themselves were kind of creepy when you look at them.
No, I think they're creepy when they're wearing them, especially with Norman's when the eyes go up. You see the eyes, and you can see inside the mask. You can see the mouth moving.
I want to make like a creepier cut of that. I want to like try to edit something like that.
Like I will always remember when Norman Osborn is threatening Mary Jane, and he's going to say, "Now that you've really pissed me off, I'm gonna finish her, nice and slow." And you can see the mouth inside the mask. That freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ugh.
Imagine if slowly during the movie you see his teeth just spread more and more, and his face gets just a little less like nice over time.
Goosebumps did that.
Did it work?
Well, it's considered to be one of their best episodes and one of their best.
Oh, I thought you were talking
books.
about Jack Black.
No.
Goosebumps. That movie was so...
I only saw the first one, and even then I was like, eh.
Movies that were over advertised video wise, because that had no merchandise. It just wasn't exciting.
Another Jack Black movie, the House with the Clock in Its Walls, I think it's called.
Clockwork Orange?
No, The House with the Clock in Its Walls, I think it's called.
That's such a lame name.
It was based on a book, and it's about wizards and all that stuff. And
name one movie based on a book that's cool, besides Coraline.
Harry Potter.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look, I don't believe in censorship, but J.K. Rowling should be censored.
I think she should be censored as a writer because she makes good books.
Would you like to tell me?
She makes good books.
Tell me a character's name. Just tell me a character's name, Billy.
Don't know who you're getting. Cho Chang?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they made her Irish.
Yeah. I think my argument ended there.
Yeah.
Cho Chang. Just saying.
I mean, J.K. Rowling as a book writer, fantastic. As a screenplay writer, no. The past
as
two
a Twitter writer.
Oh hell no.
No.
The past two Fantastic Beasts movies have been almost nothing but dialogue, and they've been panned for that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if I completely subscribe to that because I like the characters, and if they're talking, I was like, okay, then I enjoy being with them.
Mm-hmm. Going back to Multiverse of Madness, I don't like them going soft on something that, honestly, if you did a passerby clip of it and it stuck with a kid watching it, I feel like you did it right. When there's like, if it gets posted on a nostalgia clips page or something, it's like, how did we not notice this when we were younger? And it's like something that you specifically remember in a movie that was really creepy and offsetting. And it's like, wow, that was really creepy and offsetting, and it really stuck with me, and I can't not remember the movie.
Do you remember 80s PG movies that were for kids, but they were all horrific?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is going to be the start of that.
Good.
For this new generation.
Predator, RoboCop, and Terminator. You could watch those when you were 12, right? Was it PG-13? Yes.
All of them were PG-13.
Yeah, and I'd say, yeah, it's great. I really hope they don't not stop doing that. I hope they don't stop. I really hope we truck along more with like PG-13
that goes the extra mile to horrify.
Yes, because you're 13. I think you can handle that.
I mean, Dark Knight is PG-13. And if you really think about it, No, should if you really think about it,
Think about
wouldn't it be
Two-Face.
rated R?
Think about Two-Face. Just think about his face, and that is very good
Both
detail.
of them. Hey. With that
shut
said,
up.
with that said, we'll go on to our next poll.
Show me the next poll.
What was your favorite part of Everything Everywhere All at Once? If you,
I have like six.
I included if you've seen it.
Man, Ratatouille.
Raccoon, yeah. Raccoon Cooey. Is it Raccoon Cooey or Raccoon Tooey?
It's Ratatouille.
Raccoon. That was a really funny scene. That was really funny. I'm trying to think of other ones like I'm trying to think of others not because the movie's forgettable or they're lacking scenes or they're lacking great scenes,
Sucked
because there's so many great scenes.
A bagel. We don't cream cheese.
Cream cheese. The cows on my earth are all gone.
And he chugs half and half, dude. I mean, honestly, at 3 a.m., you ever chugged half and half?
No.
Man, you haven't lived.
I
I'm
don't-
lactose intolerant now, so
I don't
can't
like
really
half
have
and
that.
half. I don't like creamer that much.
I found an oat milk creamer, and I was very happy because I'm violently lactose intolerant. I can only handle it if I like get it at a drive-through. If I get regular milk or creamer.
One of the things I've been blessed with was not being lactose intolerant, because I hate to tell you, I can't imagine living in a world where I can't eat ice cream.
I can eat ice cream. It's like exclusively milk for some reason. I think because it's in its
Really?
purest, strong state that my body has to process.
Purest.
What, besides like heavy whipping cream?
No, milk is in its purest form.
Oh yeah, I guess because it's been like processed and
Yeah.
stuff. So what, you want it like you? I mean, I want to try it from the bucket, just like on a really cold bucket, straight from the cow. You know?
Oh, itchy.
I want to know what.
My nose is really itchy. The allergies, man.
Do you think it's warm when it comes out of the cow like that? Like, do you think the bucket actually like?
These are our 3 a.m. thoughts, ladies and
The
gentlemen.
multiverse is an expansive thing. The multiverse of the mind.
Okay, every time you transition away from that, using that, I feel like you're quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson for some reason.
You see, when the multiverse first opens up.
If anyone, if you have never seen the Key and Peele Neil deGrasse Tyson sketch, watch it. It's hilarious, and it has the perfect punchline.
I want to know, besides myself, who is Neil deGrasse Tyson's audience? Is it older? I feel like it's Gen X, because I feel like he's like astronomy for Gen X.
Maybe I think it might be millennials.
Really? Like, I feel like it's older millennials then, because Bill Nye would be older millennials.
Bill Nye
Is cross-centered.
between our generation and millennials. I feel like Neil deGrasse Tyson is within the millennials, though.
I think Bill Nye was live. Like, his stuff wasn't old Bill Nye videos. It was like just regular Bill Nye videos for
Now-
zillennials, like
okay.
those betweeny weenies.
Okay, for context, before doing this, we were watching a whole bunch of Breaking Bad YouTube poops. So now all I'm thinking of is Bill Nye the Science Guy in Breaking Bad
You see,
instead of Walter White.
You see, when Walt gets that pure 98.9%, it's not just because of his skill, it is because his assets...
You have to include all the effects, all the sound effects.
You see, when he goes...
He breaks the meth and you hear just the most exaggerated glass shattering.
and then, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, right?
You see, when Walt gets his special companion Jesse Pinkman in, and it's like a bong rip sound effect. it's like when hey, that's not a beaker. Hey, that's not... Jesse brought his own beaker to the...
Why are you blue, Jesse?
When he asks him why is he blue, this is actually because Walt appreciates...
Methamphetamine.
Walt appreciates non-blue meth because it's the cleanest.
I want to hear Bill Nye the Science Guy do a monologue from Breaking Bad.
I think I imagine that exists, or him, or Neil
My
deGrasse
name
Tyson.
is My name is Walter Hartwell White. I wanted him to do that monologue.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. Him and Neil should do like a Breaking Bad parody.
Epic Rap Battles of History did that.
No
they
way.
did an epic rap battle.
Between
Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye.
and Bill Nye.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of him versus Sir Isaac Newton.
Yeah, they also did that.
Yeah, I'm saying like that's I didn't see the Walter White
Not
Bill Nye.
Not Walter White. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye.
Oh,
They
okay.
didn't epic rap all of that.
Oh, okay. Because I knew they, yeah, and the ERB multiverse is an impressive.
What's your favorite ERB?
My favorite, Boba Fett versus Deadpool for obvious reasons.
Yeah, fair enough. My favorite might be Albert Einstein versus Stephen Hawking. That might be it.
And then it transitions to Hal. So,
Nope, that's not it.
what? Stephen Hawking versus? Oh, wait, I'm thinking of Bill Gates versus Steve Jobs.
Yep.
And then it goes to Hal. My apologies.
Which is weird because having seen 2001, I don't really think that makes a whole lot of sense.
What?
I don't really think that makes a whole lot of sense putting two giant tech tycoons against
A
the HAL
sci-fi.
9000
Yeah, I was gonna say
and
against the
only
sci-fi,
and
yeah.
only HAL 9000.
You could have had Siri versus HAL 9000. I feel like that could have been more interesting. That or a Google.
Cortana versus HAL 9000.
Oh wow, they're gonna write that down as we say this.
Yep. No need to give us royalties for that one.
You wonder why we love talking about multiverses like this, and like
Yeah.
versus
Epic
matches.
rap battles helped like instill
Did you watch Death
that.
Battle?
Oh yeah.
Did you watch
I watched Superpower Beatdown.
Bat in the Sun?
Yep.
Superpower Beatdown? So there's a lot of context. I feel like that was like a golden age for our audience, especially now.
Oh yeah. I
For
still
that-
remember Batman versus Deadpool.
Yeah, like oh wow, I'm
Batman
thinking,
versus
almost thinking of
Deadpool.
Batman versus Wolverine.
I remember Scorpion versus the White Ranger, which honestly, the White Ranger suit in that looked chef's kiss.
When Bat in the Sun did a lot of their behind the scenes for their costuming, they did a lot of biker outfits.
Yeah.
But the CW somehow managed to make their custom made outfits look like biker outfits. When the actual biker outfits in fan made stuff looks like superhero stuff. How do you mess that stuff up? I'm just wondering, because you have a budget and you made it look more like a cheapo product than the not cheap.
Okay,
just
are you talking about their costumes or their special effects?
costuming specifically? Because
Okay,
a lot
but-
of CW costuming often looks like.
Did you hear that both Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman got canceled?
Oh wow, that sucks.
And Flash will be ending next season with a short season. So all that's left is Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and this one show Naomi, which I don't even watch.
So Superman and Lois is gonna carry like their budget from now on.
Stargirl is okay. Superman and Lois I haven't seen, but I've heard great things about it. I've honestly heard great things about it. Surprisingly.
I wish I didn't have my ideal Superman bias of like Henry Cavill and
He's your ideal Superman?
him. I was gonna say him and Matt Reeves. I'd say George Reeves more than Matt Reeves is my ideal Superman. Honestly,
My dad loves you now.
what for George Reeves?
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
That's his favorite.
I'm a classic Superman fan, man. Batman can
favorite-
keep going forward with his progression because it's gadgets and gizmos. Superman is supposed to be a timeless concept to the point where you don't need smartphones in the movie to make it timeless.
My favorite of all of them is Brandon Routh Superman, because mainly because of Crisis on Infinite Earths, that crossover.
I just don't like that he has 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know why. That's like my stupid debacle. Is he just looks, ironically, too manly. I feel like Superman in my mind is always pastier.
in Superman Returns, Brandon Routh was pretty pasty, and he was criticized for looking too young.
Wait, who?
Brandon Routh in Superman Returns, he was criticized for looking too young.
I thought he looks young, but that's because wait, it's Superman Returns, so it's supposed to be a continuation of Matt Reeves too, which doesn't help.
Christopher Reeves. You know.
Chris Reeves, I'm sorry. I got super bias again.
Well, because this is still on the subject of the multiverse, I just want to show this clip from Crisis on Infinite Earths of Brandon Routh Superman. This is why he's my favorite.
Yeah, Brandon Routh as a young Superman works though to me. I think I still have the action figure of him too.
Of Superman Returns?
Yes.
All right.
Even though he looks like Matt Reeves.
Hark,
Couldn't save them.
you want to take a minute? Looks like you could use a breather.
I'll put this on. This crest. I made a promise to keep fighting, no matter what.
Hey, why'd you add black to it?
Because, Lois, even in the darkest times, hope cuts through. Hope is the light that lifts us out of darkness. We must go back.
I never quits no matter what Earth he's from, huh?
Yeah, that's a pretty embodiment of what is it? What is it called? Kingdom Come Superman?
Yep.
Yes.
That might be one of the cheesiest lines I've ever heard, but it's such a Superman line. It fits.
But when you call it cheesy, if Superman wasn't saying it, then it would be a cheesy quip. But when Superman says it, Superman says it. And that is why I am biased. Proud of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I want to see a Kingdom Come movie, really.
I've honestly never read the Kingdom Come comic book because and hearing the synopsis of the story, I'm not really a huge fan. I just like the suit, and I especially like it now because that clip made the black on red mean something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a fashion statement to make Superman look cooler than he was.
Or sleeker.
Exactly. It made it important.
I always love whenever he explains the logo because it just means something so much more different, and it establishes how alien he is. When it looks more like an S, yeah, it's pretty classic looking.
It's classic looking, but when it's like Zack Snyder's Superman logo and that logo,
he explains the whole water concept because a Kryptonian thrives in water. The Kryptonians want to come to Earth because it's a water planet. He explains, well, it flows like a river. Life comes through, and blah, blah, blah.
That was only in Justice League 2017. That was only in the Joss Whedon cut.
In
Justice League.
No, also in Man of Steel. When the Kryptonian babies are in like the spawning pods, when they talk about the whole water thing.
Was it?
I was watching a video essay that talked about the whole water theme of Man of Steel. He did not when he explains
Okay,
it.
so it's not explained. It's a video assignment.
The explanation.
The explanation not said by the characters.
Yes.
Okay.
Explanation, not dialogue. Thematic storytelling through imagery.
Okay.
Blah blah blah. The whole synopsis. We're not film students. Do we look like film students? I hate.
No, not at all. We're SRT students, clearly.
Those guys have too much drip and it makes me mad. You know why? Because they get to sit in their hippy dippy little pod and talking to their dippy little microphone. Couldn't be me, okay?
Exactly.
I would never be found in a studio talking in a mic in anything sound related. Would you?
Exactly.
I can't hear you because I'm not in a studio right now talking. But they get to dress so drippy because they don't have to go out in the trenches in the video shoots. They get to be as fashionable and producer looking as they want.
They can look like hipsters and get away with it.
Beyond hipsters, they look like post hype beast. Post hype beast fashion is a miracle because I thought hype beast fashion wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
The Walmart brands becoming $1,000-something products made me so mad. It's like, dude, the classism cuts through like a razor. It's so agitating. The multiverse is an experience.
Okay, so we both agree. You agree. You said that your favorite part of Everything Everywhere All at Once was Ratatouille and Ratatouille. Sorry.
Come on.
And mine might be the same.
For one part of that, though, I really thought...
I have to rewatch the movie again for both that reason and just for enjoyment reasons.
I mean, I feel like if I had a small list, I probably could get a couple of like really amazing moments.
Exactly.
The way that I try to explain how much I love parts of it is the same way that I could barely explain Inception in 5 parts. If I had a minute to explain each important piece of it, just the 5 primary things, there are 7 primary things that I can deduct from that if I'm oversimplifying it.
Like, do you know how Watch Mojo does when a big movie comes out? They do the top 10 best moments from so-and-so movie. Mm-hmm. I want them to do one of that so that I can like narrow it down and like actually think, no, this one was better. No, this one was better. Right now I'm drawing blanks.
Or
I'm just saying, oh yeah, everything was good.
I watch the video, I deduce why they judge it like that, and then I read the top comment that completely obliterates everything the video argues about. YouTube top comments are feral. It's amazing. It is
one of their most hilarious videos looking back on it was why 2016 was the worst year. Oh, how young and naive they were.
Also, 2016 just kind of rocked that whole Clash theme. Just 3 really big, and in every single one of those big, bold clashes, every single time, what happens when they are going to finalize their fight? What happens in the final act every time?
They just talk it out.
No. What comes in? A third party.
A third party, yeah.
Who always, we got to team up now for every single conflict. Zemo.
Batman vs. Superman.
Doomsday. I'm saying Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday.
Mecha Godzilla. That was 27.
Well, to be fair, to Civil War in this case, Zemo wasn't the primary. Oh, we gotta bring everyone together to take care of this. It was literally just Black Panther went on his own while Iron Man and Captain America fought.
And also, it's like, well, it's more of a vengeance story than a clash. It's more
Vengeance has consumed you. It is consuming them. I am done letting it consume me. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman.
Makes me so sad.
Most of his lines are so cool too, and each one of them could be on his gravestone.
You know what my worry is?
Tombstone. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what my worry is though is that Multiverse of Madness might try to pull what the Killmonger episode of What If did, where they pretty much brought Killmonger back because he's such a good character. He doesn't have to be a villain. And you know what happens when you kill off someone who's a really good villain and also a really good character? You Loki them. You Loki them to hell. Thanos got it. Come on, Endgame. He was brought. You bring back this really good character, kind of a cop-out, but it serves the story just enough so that they can drag him on back. Look, his contract got renewed. Enjoy, I guess. If you do this to Killmonger, just so that we don't have to get Black Panther, because they're gonna teeter-totter around, not showing Black Panther, not voicing Black Panther.
Apparently, it is all a trip. Apparently, according to every single member of the cast that has been asked this question, Black Panther 2 will be a complete tribute to Chadwick Boseman, his career, and his life.
That's beautiful, and I really just hope they don't. I don't want them to like mishandle something like that, because sometimes they can, and they really might will. Yeah. They really might will. So
they really might will.
For Killmonger though, because Multiverse, like I'm making it sound like a DC issue where it's like, well, they can just bring him back.
It's never been a Marvel issue, but they've always been teeter-tottering over that issue.
You did it with Loki, but then you made it a running gag and made it work because it's Loki. It's like, oh yeah, he's never truly dead.
He's the trickster god.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's never truly dead. It's a trick. It's a facade. Oh, it's another Loki from another universe who's almost genuinely identical. So, this one learned from all of his horrible things.
That's what I personally think is going to happen with Jane Foster in the new Thor movie. How she's the new Thor. I think she's just a variant.
Good, because honestly, Jane Foster's kind of dry and like not needed in the story, and Frat Boy Thor is clearly ideal until he's given conflict or tragedy. Clearly, he doesn't really need a love interest for a lot of this stuff. It's mostly like his conflict through each of his stories. Like Ragnarok, did you need a Jane Foster? No, we're working it out. No, you're not talking to her. You literally blocked her and ghosted her until you unblocked her. When you found Thor Jane Foster, he's gonna do that. He's gonna unblock her and try to talk to her again when he meets Thor Jane Foster. I think.
I don't know about this. I don't know about the new Thor, the new jock Thor. I prefer the more
he was always
chivalrous. I prefer the more chivalrous Thor from the first Thor.
He was a pampered,
Avengers.
spoiled brat and a frat boy.
But
Spoiled brats grow to be frat boys.
Yeah, but he had the knight's chivalry mannerism and Vikingness about him that. Even though he was cocky,
that's
he
just
never
a warrior
meant.
frat.
Even though he was cocky, he never meant disrespect.
What's that one character in the D&D campaign you love? The one who's the son of the pirate.
Oh, Fabian Seacaster.
Yeah, think about that. That's what everything you love about him, you're not liking about
Thor.
Everything you're not liking about Thor right now, you love about him, even though they are almost identical with their...
They're almost identical characters, but because Fabian Seacaster grew up in this more modern age where...
Thor grew up in the present day on Earth!
Technically, he did it. Thor grew up in Asgard,
He matured on Earth, though.
He matured on Earth for 2 days.
Because he got grounded.
He matured on Earth for 2 days.
Because he got grounded.
He matured on Earth for 2 days. He
got grounded by his parents.
He spent thousands of years in Asgard. He spent 2 days on Earth.
Thousands of years mean nothing to him. He's a god. He's a god. No, he's a alien who lives.
He's a literal god.
He's an alien who lives long.
He inspired the gods. He inspired the
He
history of
inspired
the gods.
mythology. He didn't
Yeah.
inspire the gods. The gods are, I don't know, the Eternals? Nope, they're not
Apparently-
gods. They find out they're not gods.
And apparently Zeus is supposed to be in Thor: Love and Thunder too.
That's going to be weird.
Yeah, and he's
Who's-
going to be played by Russell Crowe.
Oh, wait, does that mean we'll get a Hercules? Because Hercules is technically a Marvel character?
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll set up something for a Hercules.
We'll set up something for Hercules. We'll set up something for Thor because
I just
I want to
don't-
talk more about Thor because he is one of my most debated Marvel characters. Because on one hand, he is possibly my favorite Avenger. On the other hand, he's annoyingly comedic. So, with that said, we have one last poll.
Throw it at me.
Which do you think will be the best multiverse movie of 2022?
Okay.
I would like to clarify that before we get to pop your bubble, Everything Everywhere All at Once won the poll 75% to 25%. However, Ben Harvey, one of our fellow Monko Radio hosts,
He's in the Tumblr club.
voted twice on 2 different accounts. So technically, this
Based.
is still an Everything Everywhere All at Once victory, but it's 66% to 33%.
Still a victory.
Still a victory,
Still big majority.
still a majority, but not as big.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to throw this out.
I don't want to get political or anything, but voter fraud!
Technically, he is dupe accounting.
Yeah.
Well, it's not democracy. It is just the Horde. By the internet, it is the Horde.
I love democracy.
I love
I
democracy.
love the republic.
the first galactic. Sorry.
One movie later, the first galactic empire.
It's like poetry. It crumbles and falls when fascism rises. So
So as I said before, Ben Harvey voted both
Duped the
times.
vote.
You voted, which I hate it when you do.
I love inserting my bias
Which
to mess with the results.
I'm very inclined to say voter fraud on that too.
Okay. It's more like an inside job.
But main nerd, who we both know and wants to be on the show, and we will get on the show as soon as we do a Power Rangers episode. He voted Doctor Strange. I'm inclined with him.
Not based. Sorry. So the poll was which one is going to be the best multiverse movie of the year?
Yes, especially now that Into the Spider-Verse isn't coming out in 2022.
Yeah, that probably would have taken it.
Yeah.
So Everything All at Once is the best multiverse movie. Multiverse of Madness is the best multiverse movie. The multiverse is exclaimed in Madness. Everything All at Once, the movie is exclaimed because it's one of the best movies, I think, in the last 5-10 years. It's one of the grandest movies in the past 5 years.
I think
Besides Joker, what holds up to it? Come on. Yeah.
I'm trying to
right?
think. Let me think. Maybe Parasite.
Maybe. I can see
Maybe
that.
Tenet.
Maybe.
I'm every single time I come up with a maybe, you say, oh yeah.
But Parasite is just a piece.
Man, my nose really itches. My God. Ugh. Allergies.
If it wasn't just getting the Foreign Film Award, appreciating it as a piece.
No,
of
it
a
also
movie-
got Best Picture.
Yeah, I'm saying it deserves that long term, not just best foreign film. It deserves
Which the fact that, I'm sorry, we keep saying this every time you bring up the Oscars. The fact that Best Animated Film and Best Foreign Film are subcategories, and then there's Best Picture, it's total BS.
feels kind of racist.
It's
For foreign films sometimes.
for foreign films and for animated films because, I mean, come on. Into the Spider-Verse wins Best Animated Film, but you can't nominate it for Best Picture, even though dollars to donuts, most people are either going to say that was the best film of 2018 or Infinity War was the best film of 2018.
And dropping a huge Marvel bias, unironically, for Spider-Verse as just a piece of art, I think long term it's going to be appreciated more and more and age like wine.
I think Infinity War has aged as well as it's going to age, but it's going to keep that quality going forward.
Empire Strikes Back will always just be like that peak.
Exactly, it's the Empire Strike. Well,
You think Infinity War will be the Empire Strikes Back of these
About-
tens?
about the tens. I'm trying to think. Maybe Force Awakens.
What?
Well, for obvious reasons.
I mean, I guess. I think
No, yeah, Infinity War.
Really?
Infinity War's got this in the bag. Endgame, maybe. Endgame, I feel like we'll get the Return of the Jedi treatment.
Yeah.
Most people like.
Not bad. Just like, how are you gonna ride off of what came before you? You can try to level yourself to it. You're never
Exactly.
gonna surpass it. Sorry.
And
You're just finalizing.
and the first Avengers is A New Hope, which started all, and it has all the street cred to its name. And then Age of Ultron is like.
I don't think the first
Age
Avengers
of
holds a flame to A New Hope though.
Age of Ultron is basically the Star Wars novels in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch it, but it's not the best out of all of them.
Yeah, it doesn't. It holds. It just doesn't like hold. I guess like
It's too quippy.
In it, yeah. Sorry, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Exactly.
But yeah, for Everything All at Once as a movie, it's going to be. I think it'll be one of the best of the year. But for Multiverse, I think Multiverse of Madness specifically is going to nail it just as because it's already built on something. And it was building on a previous concept originally.
From bias, I am inclined to say Multiverse of Madness. However, that bias could also be a double-edged sword because I have so much anticipation. To be completely honest, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was my most anticipated film of 2022 above The Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That anticipation could end up hurting the film.
Because it might not meet your anticipation by this point.
Exactly. Like,
so if you're
just
not,
like Endgame.
Mm-hmm. If you're not blown away in the theaters like the first Doctor Strange had you, especially with the not the immortal one, the what's her name? The unaging one, the
ancient one.
Ancient one. The aging one.
The aging one.
She's not aging. That's why she's the ancient one. But yeah, her when she blips him into the whole like I call it the butterfly scene pretty much.
I feel like this movie could have scenes like that because we saw in the trailer there was the one scene where Doctor Strange was going through one thing and his face just went into cubes and he was screaming.
I hope that is the most calm moment of whatever that is. I think that's what they're trying to do is like that's not the most exciting thing. It's just a taste. I hope.
Yes.
I have high hopes. I have high expectations.
I have high expectations.
You're writing off the first Doctor Strange, groundbreaking, stands by itself, amazing. You're writing off No Way Home. Dude, I was sobbing and hyperventilating. You better wow me. Or you better horrify me.
This is either going to end one of two ways. Either I think by tomorrow, I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is better than Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I acknowledge both films are fantastic and I end the day optimistic. Or I come out of the theater saying that Multiverse of Madness was worse than Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I view Everything Everywhere All at Once in a more negative light because I'm constantly in my mind subconsciously saying you ruined this movie for me.
Like you made the other thing look bad, and I thought you were gonna hold weight to it.
Exactly.
Like Everything All at Once is the feather right now. Multiverse of Madness is the heart, and this heart better way.
Moon Knight. Egyptian mythology. I saw it first.
I'm thinking more like also Midnight Gospel. You should see that.
Midnight Gospel.
Trust me. Oh wait, that steps into multiverse. We can just watch the first episode. You'll love
Doctor Strange. I was going to say Doctor Strange. Dragon Ball goes into multiverse.
Yeah, Dragon Balls is pretty cool actually because that and it's Dragon Ball's multiverse and time travel are unique. I say like unique in their own weird, special, stupid little plot grid way.
Who is the other universe? Frieza. Fridge. I hate you.
Look it up.
What? Blue universe.
It's like Icebox or something.
All right. Frost. That's it. Frost.
It should have been Fridge. Or Frigga.
Like Frost goes into third form Frieza trying to convince them. No, this is my final form. Really?
No gold. No. But yeah, just like, wait, shouldn't alternate universe Frieza be Fridge? Because like Freezer, King Cold.
No, Frieza is the alternate spelling of Frieza, like how you always see it is either Frieza, Frieza, or it is Freeza.
ZA. Yeah. It should
Alternate,
just be
alternate
Frieza.
world Frieza is just Frieza, but it's spelled differently.
Or like Frieza. Wait, and it's like everyone's spelling it in their heads. Like,
Frieza. No, Frieza. What?
Freza? Fruver vacuum. the fridge, the Frieza, the Fruver vacuum.
The Fruver vacuum.
The Free V, the Frelavision.
So
The front door.
so basically, you believe that Everything Everywhere All at Once will be the best.
Movie among the two. Multiverse of Madness will be the better multiverse thing among the two.
I am hoping Doctor Strange is the better of the two, because if it's not, I will hate both.
I think we will both be actually the most happy if we can't pick, because that means that whoa, well, I can't not be satisfied.
Like how
I can't not be happy.
Like how I'm like constantly like up in the air which one I like better, the Batman or Everything Everywhere All at Once. If Doctor Strange and Multiverse comes into the mix and I can't choose between the three, then I'm really happy. And I heard that.
Heard what?
I heard that.
Heard what? Here, wait, let me scooch my chair again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That.
it's a chair.
Sure.
It's a leather chair. It's made of metal.
So
The blue Super Saiyan.
the
Super
blue-
Saiyan God Super
the blue
Saiyan.
Super Saiyan.
The new Dragon Ball movie is gonna be stupid because it's called Superheroes. Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. He goes
Still have yet to release any release date for the English dub of that.
in the
which I'm pissed.
the gosh darn universe where Goku in sorry, give me a sec. In the movie Dragon Ball Superheroes, Goku goes Super Saiyan I can't. Super Saiyan
So-
God Super Saiyan in the Superheroes movie. He
So
sounds
in
so stupid.
so if you saw Everything Everywhere All at Once in 4DX, would that be like top tier
I'd take my
cinematic
seizure meds
experience?
again.
Would that be top tier cinematic experience?
Yes.
If you saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 4DX, would that be top tier cinematic experience?
I hope so.
Okay, good, because I bought 4DX tickets for both of us.
I love. Is RPX the loud one too?
4DX 3D, yeah.
Yeah, 4DX, 3DX, and RPX. I love big experiences like
yep,
that.
and yeah,
Yeah,
I bought tickets to that. 11:30 showing tomorrow.
that was such a soft high five.
Yeah, no sound
Just
whatsoever.
it's a asterisk high five.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, just a shout out to the Monco Radio.
Yeah, we were going to get coffee to put into our new Polar Cam cups for coffee, but
looks like we're just gonna have to.
yeah, not only did we forget to go to Starbucks, but the truck that
We were
usually
gonna
is
get
here.
we were gonna get coffee from the truck, and then I'm just
Finals week, man.
like, I can't have anything this week, man.
We're just constantly drinking empty cups.
I had coffee earlier, but I didn't have my tumbler, and I was very sad. So we're gonna.
I keep forgetting that it's called a Tumblr because my mind instantly goes to either the app or the website or the Batmobile from the Dark Knight movies because the Batmobile
that
is
is
called
such
the
a good.
Tumblr.
That Batmobile does look like a tumbler tank.
Yep. But my favorite one is either 89 Batmobile or Arkham Knight.
For me, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the tank. I think the Adam West Super.
I think
Batmobile-
the tank is the most. The tank design is the most realistic. I just wish that it was shorter, like similar to the BVS one.
It would be just cool if he had if other Batman had, like the serious ones, had an Adam West style car. But the way that the Spectre car was
Yep,
like a
Mark
normal.
Spector. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, what was the car model? You know, it was the silver car, right? That he eventually launched into a river. The fact that car could do so much damage and just looked like a regular supercar. The thing is, that's not unrealistic because a lot of supercars and super sports cars, they are solid body.
I honestly think
they don't break. They just crinkle.
I honestly think that my ideal Batmobile for both realism and theatricality would be basically an armored Lamborghini.
I would want more of a Mad Max hard buggy, kind of
Yeah.
like what Robert Pattinson's had.
Yeah.
I just wish it was a little more like glassed over, like it had
I feel like
the
that's
shutters. I wish I had the window shutters.
I feel like that's only because it's in the early stages and you can see that
Is that a Samoyed?
Samoyed?
No.
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 No Samoyed.
No Samoyed.
No Samoyed.
I thought they were holding a dog leash.
But I feel
Can't
like
have
that's only because he's in the early stages, and you can see early on in the movie the Batmobile isn't completely finished yet. He was still in the process of making it, and he had to bring it out right now because he had to drive somewhere.
I still think the Arkham Bat Tank is like
I love it.
The most
That's-
video game Batmobile.
I think that's the coolest.
Yeah. It reminds me of the tanks in Halo too. It's just like fast.
Don't remind me of Halo right now.
The game's tanks. I think you deserve to watch some of like the game cutscenes.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah. I feel like
Alright.
that could be your intro to shooters too, because like the early Halo games are like pretty on the nose for it. I think I liked Halo because it reminds me of classic Battlefront. I just got the PS2 Battlefront on my PC too, which is exciting.
Cool. All right. So I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
We talked about the multiverse. We talked about Doctor Strange. Everything all at once. We talked about which of the two we thought would be better.
If you still can get tickets to Everything Everywhere All at Once, it deserves it, especially
Yeah,
as a underdog.
our friend Cookie, he messaged me asking if Everything Everywhere All at Once was still playing, and I was like looking. I was like constantly looking online at. I spent like an hour
It
online
still is out.
before
It just doesn't come up with the results for the tickets, which is annoying. You have to go on like apps for it.
Exactly. It's horrible because it's such a good movie, and it's not getting any attention.
It deserves more than just that one TikTok ad I see that for the small merchandise.
Do you think it should be up for any Oscars?
Yes,
Best what? Best what?
whatever it fits into, honestly.
Not
Not a foreign film. It's
Not
made
foreign
in-
film. Not foreign film.
A24
It's made by
is
it's made by two guys called the Daniels. It's not a foreign film.
weird that just say it's weird that Everything All at Once, Turning Red, and Shang-Chi follow just a very thinly similar veal. If you try to explain the three of them simultaneously, veal.
You said veal.
Pierce the veal. Oh wait, veal is the food.
Yes.
But they're spelled the same.
Yeah.
That is I spell phonetically, or I speak phonetically sometimes. Like I accidentally say interpret a lot. But yeah, the same concept of that emerging more. It's kind of nice to see like a big,
Chinese culture is getting a resurgence, and I'm all into it.
and it's not repetitive because each of the stories is so unique. It's just following a base storyline because it's
If you're a decent human being and aren't necessarily of Chinese origin or anything like that, if you're just a decent human being, you should be all for that.
yes, it's very appreciable to watch, and I think more culture included in like mainstream American movies is like deserved.
No, we need more movies about white men.
Put them back in New York like where they belong. Come on, I want to do the Avengers. It's like, man, Moon Knight was so fun in New York. Hey, they weren't in New York. Hey, I'm walking here.
I loved it when they review the biggest twist of Moon Knight. He's Jewish.
And it just worked.
It's just a side note. It's part of his personality. It's not a driving point. It's just part of who he is.
The Guatemalan actor playing the British, playing the Jewish characters.
Yeah.
Like, wow, Mr. Worldwide, Mr. Oscar Isaac.
Because of Moon Knight, I will never be able to hear the phrase "Laters Gators" without tearing up a little bit.
Oh, dude.
Yep. Open up that can of worms.
Ouch.
So, next.
What a way to end off, I guess.
Yes. Make sure to tune in next time on Real Wreckers. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Real Wreckers. That is REEL_RECKERS.
And our TikTok at Real Wreckers. That's REELRECKERS to stay up to date on all of our polls and for a shout out next time.
Until then, I'm Billy,
And I'm Dalton.
and you can consider this real wrecked.